The end is finally near for the Jodi Arias trial. Closing arguments are expected to begin this Thursday, and here to give us a look at the days ahead is prosecutor Anna-Sigga Nicolasi. Anna-Sigga, thank you so much for being with us today.
Sure.
So, going into this final week, what can we expect from this?
This is the week that people have been waiting for since January. You know, we're going to finally be at the end of the testimony. The judge has drawn a line in the sand, and she says that Wednesday will be the very last day of testimony, no matter how late they stay into the night. And then she will give her final jury instructions to the jury, she says, on Thursday, and then both sides will give their closing arguments. And she's hoping that that means Thursday and Friday, and then the jury finally gets their chance to do their job and hopefully come back with a verdict in this case.
In these final few days, there has been some very powerful evidence that has been presented. Do you think that it is changing the dynamics of this case because it has gone on for such a long time?
Yeah, you know, I think what's powerful about it is the timing, is that really when the prosecution came back to now rebut the defense, the case that they put on, they really kind of very quickly hit some key points to really show how incredible, and by that I mean not believable, some of the defense arguments have been about what Jodi Arias says happened at the time that she killed her boyfriend.
The defense asked for some lesser charges, and I wanted to get your thoughts on that. And the charge that was requested was manslaughter by sudden quarrel or heat of passion. Smart move by the defense?
Sure. I mean, anything for the defense that is off of that murder in the first degree, which carries the possibility of a death sentence here, is smart for the defense. And that's what they're going for. I mean, sure, would they like to get an acquittal? Yes, but I don't think they're actually counting on it. So anything that can take the death penalty off the table. And sometimes, you know, lawyers will say that the more choices you give a jury, the more room for compromise. So that if they just have murder one and murder two, well, then they're going to end up with a murder one or murder two. But if you go down the line to lesser included charges, such as the manslaughter, maybe they have a better shot at the murder in the second degree, or even a manslaughter.
What about the decision to put Arias on the stand herself? Was that a smart move?
The reason I believe that the defense did that, I don't think it was so much to really, I don't think they believe, nor I hope, that the jury will buy a lot of what she said, but it's really to let the jury get to know her. I mean, it was unprecedented. This woman was on the stand for 18 days. And so what if she is found guilty in the guilt phase, then they're hoping to save her life. And so there is definitely something to the fact, if you hear someone and get to view them and have this exchange, watching them speak for not one, not two, which is the norm, 18 days, that the jury will have a much harder time coming back with a death sentence if that happens in this case, that they go into a sentencing phase.
You and I were talking about this a little bit earlier, and the fact that Arizona is one of only a handful of states that allows the jury to actually question those on the witness stand. Do you think that that prolonged this trial? Did it complicate the duty for the attorneys in this case?
I don't know what has not prolonged this trial. I mean, it's really 4.5 months is more than I've ever heard of for any case such as this, and there's certainly many more complicated murder cases than this. But it's an interesting question because, you know, when I've heard a lot of the questions that the jurors have submitted here, they really are getting at some of the crux of what they will be asked to decide. So if it helps them, it's great, but it certainly creates a different, more complicated playing field for those involved, because now they're dealing with issues that they did not necessarily themselves see when they were putting on their case on both sides here.
Going into the final days now, who is in better shape?
As a prosecutor, and based on my view of how I've seen the evidence put forth, I really believe the prosecution is. I think they've really put a very tight case. The case has gone on, and I will hope, and I say because we've seen lots of things happen in different cases recently, that the jury will see through all of Arias's stories and the different excuses here and get to the heart of the matter and see that evidence did prove her guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, and then they will have to go into a sentencing phase. That's what I predict, but we'll see. It
is a case that is certainly almost unpredictable to make any kind of an outcome. There are a lot of twists and turns. Anna-Sigga Nicolasi, thank you so much for your insight. We certainly appreciate that. And of course, stay with ABCNews.com for live streaming coverage as the case continues.